Yes. Hello everyone. This is CA Ravina Kumar. I will be conducting exclusively for CMA final. The name of the subject is Strategic Performance Management and Business Valuation. Okay. Now this is the amended portion. This is the new portion for CMA final students. Okay. This paper is elective paper. There are three papers that are elective. Amongst this, one is this. But for the past examination pattern, this was a compulsory paper. Okay, strategic performance management and business valuation was a paper which was compulsory, and it is one of the most scoring paper from the CMA final point of view. Okay, the concepts here are very easy to understand, and from the scoring point of view, it's very easy. Okay, so I will be conducting strategic performance management, and Harshvardhan sir will be conducting business valuation. Okay, let's look at the index first of all, how many chapters we have for this. Okay, let's start. So there are ideally 4 chapters in this. We are going to start with the first chapter. The name of the chapter is Performance Management. Okay, the name of the chapter is what? Introduction to Performance Management. Okay, now first of all, what do you mean by the word performance? How do we compute performance of a company? Now there are various aspects to compute the performance of the company. It won't be only related to profit. It won't be only related to the financial status of the company. Okay. Here we are not going to restrict ourselves towards the financial performance only. There are multiple aspects on the basis of which the performance of the company is judged. Like, for example, Maggie. Okay. Now, Maggie is judged for the taste. Best performance in taste. Next, Parle-G. Okay, for the price. Then we can say iPhone. Okay, iPhone is for the latest technology. Okay, so whenever we talk about the performance of any company, here we consider multiple factors. Multiple factors like the quality, like the price, like the technology, like the director of the company, the resources of the company, the CEO of the company, okay, the supply chain management of the company, in what way, okay, how are you purchasing goods, how are you selling goods, what is your marketing strategy, and various other factors are considered when we talk about performance management. This one thing needs to be clear, that this chapter is not focused on only the financial aspect, profit aspect, or the costing aspect, but here we are going to revolve other than the financial goals of the company. Now, why is it important to measure the performance of the company? Okay, first of all, okay, everyone, whether it's an individual, whether it's a company, whether it's a shopkeeper, whether it's a partnership firm, okay, everyone sets objectives. So everyone has one objective, like you all have an objective of clearing CMA final in first attempt. Okay, company का objective होगा to earn profit. शॉपकीपर का प्रॉफिट होगा, परफॉर्मेंस मेजरमेंट होगा to increase the sale. So everyone sets objective and then starts working on it. So it is very important to have a pre-defined set of objectives on which you will be working on. In the same way is the performance. Okay, we set our performance and then we start computing whether we have achieved the performance or not. Like for CMA final, your this week target is completing one subject. So this has been set on Monday, but you will evaluate a performance when? On Saturday. Thus, whenever we talk about the performance, okay, it is always what? It is always set in advance. Okay, just give me one. Sorry. Okay, let's start. Now, performance of an entity is what is measured before it is being managed. If you want to manage something, but you need to know that our profit target was 25%, but currently I'm working at a target of 20%. So first you measure, okay, I have achieved 5% less. And then you will start doing what? Then you will start managing this performance. That is why it is written here what? That the performance of an entity is measured before it is being managed. Again, here we are going to consider various aspects, and it won't be what? It won't be only considering the financial. Gauge on the basis of either financial or operational parameters. In today's world, where there is globalization, where there is huge competition, traditionally the factors were only financial. But nowadays, what happens is the financial parameters fall short of capturing the essence of sustainability. Okay. Now for the companies to have a longer life, to be in the market, to attract the customer more. Okay. They cannot be self-centric about their financial aspects or about their profit. Okay. They need to focus on customer satisfaction also. They need to focus on quality. They need to focus whether the transportation is reaching on time, whether a person is ordering today, are the goods reaching within 1 day, 2 day. Okay. Nowadays, the speed of delivery also matters a lot. And therefore, they are telling that the performance management is a concept where it has to adopt new approach. Okay, here we will not be focused only on the top management. Here we have to take care whether we need to identify employees, whether our employees are trained, whether our employees are happy, whether they are working properly, whether they have the knowledge of what they are working. Okay, we need to know our customers. What is the requirement of customers? Okay, what colors customers want, what price customers want. Supplier. One of the most important persons for running a manufacturing business is a supplier, because this person supplies us the raw material. The rate of raw material will impact the overall costing of the company. The quality of the raw material will impact what? The quality of the raw material will impact our final cost. So they are telling that we need to come out of our company. Okay, we need to come out of our company, our balance sheet, our profit and loss account, and look into various other people such as the employees, customers, suppliers, competitors, or any other party which is external to the company, like the shareholders, like the investors, etc. Okay, or any other groups along with the investors, such as the stakeholders. Thus, the performance measurement and management in order to be tuned with the strategic goals of the entity. Okay. First of all, let's discuss this. This is one of the most basic points of this chapter. Okay, now there are strategic goals. Okay, now what do you mean by the strategic goal? Companies make different strategy, like the financial strategy, okay, like the marketing strategy, like the production strategy. Now, whenever we are doing performance management, definitely we need to take care that we are in sync with the overall entity strategic goal. Like for example, the overall entity's strategic goal is 20% profit to be achieved. But in performance management, we are expensing a huge amount of money, because of which our profit margins are going down and it is only coming to 8%. This will not make sense. So what are they telling? Whenever a company does performance management, it will work as per the entire entity, as per the requirement of the entire company. Okay, let's read this paragraph, a very important paragraph from paper point of view. Everyone, okay, I'm highlighting this. It's very, very important. What? That in order to be tuned with the strategic goals of the entity, has to move out from the silo of financial performance measurement and encompass a wide array of new development. So ideally, there are 2 points which are highlighted here. That was just the introduction की performance management का मतलब क्या होता है. Two factors. Okay. First factor is performance management does not mean only financial management. In performance management, you take into consideration all the operational factors also. You take into consideration the customers. You take into consideration the suppliers, the competitors, the shareholders, the investors, etc. This is one thing. And the second aspect here is that your performance management should always be in sync with the strategic goals of the company. This is one of the most important points. Okay, just an introduction to get an overview of the company. Now, let's start. Which company is a successful company? Okay, I just want you all to answer me. When we compute the success of the company, there are 4 words. Okay, very important thing. There are 4 words. Now I'll just tell you one word, that is the resource. Okay, now resources will always mean for a company. What is a resource? For a company, resources men, money, material, machine. How many factors are there? There are four factors for the company. What do you mean by the resource? From now onwards, whenever we hear the word resource, we should always remember that resources means what? Resources means 4M. That is the men, money, material, machine. These four words. Now, in any company, men, money, material, machine should work how? Efficiently and effective. What do you mean by the word efficiently? Like for a person, if this work has to be completed in 8 hours, and if that person completes the work in 7.5 hours, it means what? He has done the work efficiently. Because this person was doing the work again and again, he was able to achieve the target half an hour early. It means what? This guy is efficient in his work. And effective means what? But we need to check whether the work done by this person is correct or not. So it is always said in a company, how are the resources supposed to be working in a company? The resources are supposed to be working effectively and they should be working efficiently. One more important factor for this will be that whenever we consider resources, quantitatively and qualitatively, they should be appropriate. Very important word from the paper point of view. We need to highlight important words so that we catch on this word and we are able to write this word in the answer. So, what they have written that, let's read. The success of an organization is dependent upon what? Is dependent upon quantitatively and qualitative resource. Do we have the men which are quantitatively also correct? Because if it has a more quantity, we will be paying more salary. If quantity is less, we will not be able to complete our work. Plus quality means what? Are they able to do their work properly or not? Same is the case of material. Quantity wise, the raw material coming in should be appropriate. If raw material coming in is less, then your manufacturing plant cannot work. And if the quantity coming is more, it means you're wasting your money. So all for the success of a company, performance management focuses on what? The performance management focuses that they should be quantitatively and qualitatively appropriate. Plus, the other aspect is their working should be efficient and effective utilization of this resource. So very important answer is from summarize. We can summarize this as how we can summarize is that the resources, there are two factors in the resources that they should be appropriate quantitatively, they should be appropriate qualitatively, plus one more thing is that they should be working effectively and they should be working efficiently as well. Does this paragraph concentrate that a company, if it wants to survive long term, be in the market long term, it needs to take care that is resources, whether it's a tangible resource, whether it's an intangible resource, are they working properly? Are they working appropriately? And thus, this determines the success or the unsuccess of a company. And very important resource is a person. One of the most important differentiating resource is the people, in which traditionally accounting system often fails to identify as an integral part of the financial statement. Okay, very important point from paper point of view. Traditionally, whenever they used to do performance management, only the thing they used to consider was the financial management. Okay, financial management means profit and loss account, balance sheet, profit margin, ratio. But one factor that is missing in the profit and loss account and balance sheet is the people, is the human resource. Okay, their performance matters the most, and therefore in the performance management they have considered people as one of the most important. Okay, now let's start. Performance management. Let's start. What are the two key factors in the performance management? Is this process a one-time process? No. This is going to be a continuous process. Okay, we will set our performance, we will start working on it. We will set our next performance target, we will start working on it. Okay, thus the performance management is a continuous process. It's a loop. Okay, it is always going to be what? It's always going to be a loop which starts with setting the objective and ends with measuring the performance. Okay, let's look into these words. First of all, the first thing in a performance management that we're supposed to do is set objective. The moment we set objective, that in 3 months we have to achieve this objective, 3 months the company will work. After 3 months, what are we going to do? We are going to set our objective. After 3 months, we are going to measure our performance. And while measuring the performances, if there is a deviation, okay, if the performance is not satisfactory, we will be giving training and feedback accordingly. And the second point, which we have already discussed, is alignment with what? It has to be aligned with the strategic. There has to be a proper linkage between what? There has to be a, yeah, just a second. Okay. Okay. Now, there has to be a proper linkage between what? Between the employee's goal and between the organizational goal. Thus, these are the two main features of the performance management. That is, it has to be continuous in nature, and most important point is what? That it needs to be aligned with the overall strategic goal of the organization. Is this clear? Now, to start with performance management, okay, there are three words which we need to identify. That is, first of all, we will identify. Okay, first thing which we are supposed to do is what? The first thing that we are supposed to do is identify the performance. Like I want to clear in first attempt is identifying what you want to achieve and then measuring it, for example, every month or measuring it every week or measuring it every quarter. And then at the end is developing. Developing means if there is any shortage, we will work upon it. So there are three words. Okay. Performance management is what? Performance man. This will be your definition for performance management always. क्या है ये? Performance management first of all is a continuous process where you're going to do what? Where you're going to first of all identify your performance, measure your performance, and if you are lacking towards it, you will be doing what? You will be developing the performance. Why are we identifying, then measuring, and then developing? So that it is aligned with what? So that it is aligned with the strategic goals of the company. Very important definition. Yes. Is this clear, everyone? Okay, the point which I have highlighted in yellow, let me read. What will be your definition for performance management? Always, performance management is a continuous process where we identify, second, we measure, third, we develop our performances. Why are we trying to develop? Because if there is any deviation, we need to develop and we need to match it with what? Very important word, strategy. But how are we supposed to do it? The answer is this can be done by being continuous and by aligning it with the strategic. Is this clear? So here your answer for performance management comes to an end. Okay, let's start. Now the next paragraph. Okay, now in next paragraph there are two terms. One term is the performance management and the next term is the performance appraisal. Okay, let's just discuss. Now, what is the one term? One term is performance management and the second term is performance appraisal. Okay, okay, let's jot down few points. Performance management and the next is performance appraisal. Okay, let's discuss. Now, performance appraisal is as compared to performance management a narrow concept. Performance management is actually what is actually a broader concept. Whenever we're using performance management, you can have a rocket success. Okay, there can be a quick success in your company. But whenever there is only performance appraisal, your success will be what? Nominal. In performance appraisal, what happened? Take care. There is one head A and there are two subordinates to the A. One is the B, one is C and one is D. Now what is A going to do? A is going to tell B, C, D that complete your work. I'll come and appraise your performance. Appraise means I will come and measure your performance. B, C and D will work for a month. A will come. A will not let B, C, D talk. What A will do will come, verify a performance, give the rating. Again for the C, it will verify the performance, give rating. Again for D, it will verify the performance and it will give rating. So here, only the top management is going to talk and give rating and just try to appraise. But in performance management, there always will be what? There always will be a joint dialogue between junior and the senior. So whenever a junior and a senior meet, or for example, whenever there is a meeting, first an opportunity will be given to junior that do you want to explain me what work have you done in this month? He will explain, and then the senior will come into picture, have a joint dialogue, have a joint discussion and move forward. Thus, there is a proper link between the company and the employee. But the same does not happen in what does not happen in the performance appraisal. And therefore, performance appraisal is not considered as one of the correct way of working in a company. Performance management is the correct way of working. And performance appraisal is a one-time process. Okay, it is a one-time process. Let's read what is performance appraisal. First thing, it's a one-time process being carried out by the upper level manager. One time in the sense, every quarter he will come, one time he will measure your performance. That's it. And he will go back. Okay, why he is coming? Why? What is being done by the upper level manager? What we have discussed in order to evaluate the performance of the subordinate. Here an example is given on year-to-year basis. Why? Because here only the superiors have the responsibility of providing systematic description of the employee's performance. यहाँ पे ये लोग क्या बोल रहे हैं कि सिर्फ और सिर्फ सुपीरियर के पास ही पावर है कि वो जज करता है कि परफॉर्मेंस अप्रोप्रिएटली चल रहा है कि नहीं चल रहा है. लेकिन what do you mean by performance management? This concept is a bigger concept and this concept considers the whole performance of the company. Okay, often it is a what? It is a guiding philosophy which needs to be communicated throughout the organization. So here what happens is, in a company, performance management is communicated to everyone in the company, whether it's a lower person, it's a middle person, or it's a top management. What will happen? Everything will be what? Everything will be communicated to the complete organization. What you want in performance management, how you are going to achieve, what are your targets, all these points will be communicated to the entire company. So यहाँ पे क्या लिखा है? Performance management acts as an appraisal where what happens, it is communicated throughout the organization. Here there is a proper linkage between the employee's performance and organizational growth. Employees' performance should be how? An employee in a company should work as per what? As per the organization. Whenever in a company we are working, it will never happen that individual will have his personal goals. Here the individual has to work as per the goals of the organization. We need to tally that the individual, how are they working, is equivalent to what are they going to achieve the organizational goals or not. A very important line that in performance management, there has to be a proper linkage between the employee's performance and organizational, and therefore it is very important that in a company the performance management should be okay. So this was the overview of performance management. Okay, next comes is the question, what is the objective of performance management? Okay, we already know what is the objective of performance management. First thing, ma'am, employee should have the knowledge what is performance management. An employee should be educated, an employee should be paid proper. Okay, there has to be proper growth, there has to be proper advancement in the company. So what I have done, there are few points which are related to employee, and there are few points that are related to what? That are related to company. Okay, first we will read the points that are related to an employee. First of all, what? With proper performance management system in place, an employee can strive for what? Superior performance. Here what will happen, because an employee is clear what does a company need, what performance a company need, because he is clear, he can strive and get a superior performance. And when he will perform well, definitely he has to be compensated with a good amount of a package, that is your salary. So what is the objective of performance management? Is to make your employee capable enough and happy enough to work in a company. So first point here, what is the objective? is here and person is able to strive for a higher performance because he will be paid good. Second, when he can have a superior performance only when he has proper knowledge and skill. Only when he is being given proper feedback. Feedback means what? You're working correctly or you're working not correctly. You are being told and accordingly you are being coached. And because of which there can be personal growth and advancement of an employee. So all the points that I have highlighted here, okay, all the points that I have highlighted here in the green, okay, what are these points? There are 4 points for the employee, okay, let's revise. First, a person can have a superior performance and that superior performance can be linked with a good package. To have a superior performance, what is important, bacho? To have a superior performance, it is very necessary to have a good skill set. But with the skill set, if there is no feedback, it will make no sense. Whenever you have a good skill set, you're working, but you need to get a proper feedback whether you're working properly or not, and you're supposed to get a good coaching also. And the last point is only then there can be a appropriate personal growth. Cool. And from now 2 points from the company point. In performance management, a company should have a effective reward mechanism. Effective reward mechanism means the people or the person should be paid on the basis of how they are working and they should not be paid on the basis of the rank. A person who is working good, a person who is working very nice should be paid more. A person who is working average should be paid happy. And a performance management creates an environment. In a company, there is a very good environment where you can achieve all your strategic purpose. Whatever was your strategic purpose, whatever was your strategic strategy, that can be achieved. Thus, the performance management creates the environment where the strategic purpose of organization is suitable for the entire organization. Okay, performance management will never work department wise. That is why here the point is written that in performance management, company का environment is so good that it is suitable for entire organization. ऐसा नहीं रहेगा that it is suitable only for finance sector, it is suitable only for marketing sector, it is only suitable for sales sector. No, it will be suitable for the entire organization. So whenever we remember this answer, I want you all to remember this answer as 4 plus 2, that is 4 points for the employee and 2 points for the company. Let's have a quick revision. 4 points for employees consider superior performance. You should have a proper knowledge. You are having a proper feedback and only then you can have a personal growth. And next 2 points for the company's point of view, there has to be a appropriate reward mechanism. And the second is a company's environment should be the best and it should be applicable throughout the organization. And how can a company do this? What are the different elements in the performance management? Okay, let's just read the introduction here. In order to get the insight, the performance management, the elements of the same needs to be different. Though universally approach is yet to be accepted. Universally as a common element, all the companies should have these, all the elements, but these are one of the most important elements. If you are doing what? If you are doing performance management. Okay, let's start. First of all, I have written on the left side. Whenever we start studying, first thing we do what? CMA final have to be cleared in first. So setting your objective. But once you set your objective, you will not go and sleep. Once you set your objective as that I want to become an AIR, weekly you're going to give a test. You need to also measure the performance. Performance will be measured maybe on the basis of test, maybe on the basis of result, maybe on the basis of classes, maybe on the basis of your study. Okay, for example, we are measuring it on the basis of the test. The score from our test is 60%. Our teacher will give us an appropriate feedback. If we have performed good, the teacher will give us reward. If we have not done good, teacher will do what? Amendment. Amendment of the objectives and the action. So basic elements of performance management क्या? First, we are going to set an objective. Whenever you set your objective, after that you will always start measuring your performance. After measuring, we will try to gain what? We will try to gain a appropriate feedback. Whether our work is going properly or not, we need to have a feedback. According to the feedback, we will have what? A reward system. Okay, if you have achieved the performance, you will get reward. If you are not able to achieve, you might actually amend. For example, my objective was 90% of the marks I need to achieve. But even after constantly studying, you are able to achieve only 80%. So at the end, it might happen that you might amend your objective to what? Amend your objective to 80%. Or you might amend the way of your study. That is, you might amend the act. Thus, the above mentioned 5 elements of the performance management is the B. Okay, all the work in performance management has to be done continuously, has to be done back to back. Unless the loop is completed, a successful performance management system cannot be said to be in operation. There can be one question in the paper that what elements are to be completed in loop. So the answer here is 5. Okay, you cannot start with objective measurement and then just stop. It has to be what? It has to be completed in a proper loop. What are the points? Setting the objective, then measuring the objective. After measuring, gaining feedback, getting a reward, or at the end it might happen that you might finally directly do what? Directly amend. Thus, this is the basis of performance management. What is the meaning of performance management? What are the objectives of performance management? And then the next question was, what are the elements of performance management? Now, in a company, for the purpose of measuring performance management, there are various factors that can be considered. And from that, the first factor which we will be studying is the supply chain management. Does the supply chain management working also impact the performance of the company? Okay, what is a supply chain management? Okay, supply chain management will start with what? Supply chain management will always start with the raw material. In center, there will be a manufacturing company, and at the end, there will be what? There will be customer. So, supply chain management makes sure that the products are delivered to the customer. From where? But the process will always start from the raw material. That is, the process will always start with the supply. Is it very important for the company to choose a very good supplier who supplies raw material on time? Yes, ma'am. Because if a raw material comes on time, then only the manufacturing process will start. Once the manufacturing process is started, then there are multiple things to be done, like the packaging, like the coloring, like the transportation, like the distribution, and then your product is going to reach what? And then your product will be reaching the customer. Thus, what is a supply chain management? There are many companies in the supply chain management. Okay, why there are many companies? Because one company will be the supplier's company, then there will be a transportation company who will deliver the raw material to my company. Okay, then there will be human resources in my company, right? Human resource will do the manufacturing process. There might be a separate company who will be doing packaging for us. Some people might have in-house packaging. Some people might send the product is ready, but the packaging for the purpose of packaging it might be sent to the other company. Once the packaging is done, then for distribution again the transportation company will come into picture, and then the product will reach what? Then the product will reach the. So thus the supply chain management starts with what? The supply chain management always starts with simple, but it always terminates with the end product. Once you source the input properly, process is being done and then the process is being rendered to the customer. Once this chain is completed, the complete chain is known as what? This chain is known as the supply chain management. Okay, let's read. So here in the entire process, or whether only one company will be considered, no, there will be multiple companies who will be completing the supply chain management for one. Okay, it's going to be a group of interconnected companies. All the companies are interconnected because if on 5th the raw material is coming, then on the 6th the transportation company should be ready to transport the goods to my company. And in my company, the employees should be ready to process that on a particular list. Thus, in a supply chain management, what is it? It's interconnection of various companies which actually depend on each other for supplies of goods and services. No person can work single-handedly, and thus here it is considered as a very proper input. Like the supply chain management of Maggie is considered as one of the best supply chain management. If you see the supply of Maggie, every trekking point you go, anywhere you go on the top of the mountain, Maggie is available. Or any small village you go, Maggie is available. Why? Because it has a very strong distribution plan. But for the purpose of distribution, that many Maggie has to be ready. For the purpose of preparing the Maggie, the raw material has to be ready. So raw material, processing, distribution, transportation, and then finally the product reaches the customer. Is it a very important factor for the purpose of success of a company? Yes. Because if a person is ordering something and the product is coming 30 days late, it will have a negative performance matrix. But Maggie is something which is available immediately because of the speed and because of the accuracy. Okay, so let's just read what is supply chain. Does all the participating companies add value, and that is why it is also known as a value chain. Raw material comes, then little value is added, intermediate goods are made ready, then from the intermediate good little value is added, final goods are made ready, then to the final goods packaging is done, and then that goods is distributed. So in each step there will be some kind of a value that will be added to it. Thus, all the companies, whether it's the making of intermediate product, making of final product, they add value to the manufacturing process, which initiates with inputs from the supplier and terminates as an end product that are demanded by the end consumer. Always remember, a supply chain will start with the supplier and the concept will end with the consumer. The first step which you do is procurement. That is, you're procuring the material. Then, second step क्या होगा? Once the raw material comes, you will transform that raw material into what? There are two ways of transform. Directly, it might happen that the finished goods are not ready, like for a car. You will procure many raw materials, but then when transformation comes, there might be creation of intermediate products like tire will be created separately, engine will be created separately, glasses will be created separately, paints will be created separately. So you will transform the goods into what? There are two words which are supposed to be remembered. You will transform the goods into intermediate goods or the finished. And once these goods are ready, you will distribute the finished goods to the There's a very easy definition here that in the supply chain management, you start with what? Here you start with procuring the raw material, then transforming these raw material into two. Might be intermediate goods, might be finished goods. And once the finished goods are ready, you can sell it to the customer. And in the supply chain management, how many people will be considered? There will be suppliers, there will be manufacturers, there will be transporters. You will need to keep your raw material in the warehouse, retailers, customers, distributor, wholesalers. Okay, so in this complete chain, there many various people will be considered for this purpose. Yes, is this clear? Okay, chalo. Let's have a look on the diagram, everyone. Come. Let's have a look on the diagram. Okay, let's see what is this. This is the original equipment manufacturer. Okay, so basically this is the manufacturing person. Okay, this is the person, for example, Tata, who is manufacturing nano. How does this process start? Ma'am, there might be first of all supplier, then the main supplier, and then the raw material will come in our company. So OEM is the original equipment manufacturer. Then it will be given to the distributor. So here everything will be done. Okay, intermediate goods will be made, finished goods will be made, packaging will be done, coloring will be done, assembling will be done. Then these products will be given to the distributor. Distributor, that is the wholesaler, will give it to the retailer, and the retailer will then give this product to whom? To the customer. Is this clear? So first you start with supplier, then comes the manufacturer, then comes the distributor, and then comes the customer. In a supply chain management, there are always two angles. Let's work on it. Like this. So here we are working on what? Here we are always working on creation of value. And your focus is what? Your end focus is billing. Here when you start, what is your focus? Your focus is creation of value. Very important. You can just draw this diagram. Okay, here you focus on what creating value. How creating value? Bringing the raw material, transforming the material, making intermediate goods, making finished goods so that you can deliver. But when the arrow is opposite, okay, let's have a look. But when the arrow is moving from where? When the arrow is moving from customer to this. Here you start with what customer. So what demand does a customer? So whatever will be the demand of customer, accordingly raw material will be procured. So there are two angles always in paper. First angle is you're creating the value for the customer, but the second angle is are you making the product that the customers are demanding. That's it. This is the basic concept which is being explained here. Cool. As discussed earlier also, supply chain also is known as the value chain when its links are considered as a value adding activities. That is which arrow? This. Here you're going on adding the value. But if you consider the other arrow, that concept is known as the demand chain. So they have written here the supply chain is also known as what? Supply chain is also known as value chain. Why value chain? Because when its links are considered as value add. But the supply chain is also considered as a demand chain when the chain is considered as a continuous demand originated from the consumer. Okay, so that is why there are two words. Supply chain is also known as a value chain, and the second point is that the supply chain is also known as what? Demand chain. Value chain is this, and the demand chain is the opposite, where it originates from the demand of the customer. Now, ma'am, what all flows whenever we are discussing about the supply chain? What all flows? First, material will be flowing. Second, do we need to make the payment for the raw material? Yes. When we are selling it to the customer, will we be receiving the money? Yes. So first concept is there will be material flow, obviously. There will be financial flow, obviously. There will be commercial flow. Commercial flow means it is being done for the purpose of business. You are completing the entire supply chain. For what purpose? For the business purpose, for the profit purpose. And information flow, very important aspect. Information flow means what? That the raw material has reached your company. You need to inform your employees so that they start manufacturing. Once manufacturing is done, then you need to inform distributors that the products are manufactured. Can you please come for the purpose of packaging? Sorry. Then once the packaging is ready, packaging person has to tell the distributor, yes, this has been done. Can you please distribute it to the retailer? And then the retailer has to inform the customer, yes, I have achieved. So information will be flowing from downstream as well as the information will be flowing from upstream. How? We need to also get the information from the customer that whether that customer is satisfied. So there are four types of information that flows in a supply chain. That is the material flow, information flow, finance flow, and next comes is the commercial flow. Cool. Material flow means what? All the manufacturing entities, the material flow from the beginning of the supply chain. Supply chain will start only when there is a flow of the material so that the finished goods for the customer can be created. Information flow will be always both ways. It can be upstream, it can be downstream. Why? We will also get the information from the customer whether the customer is happy with the product or not. And it is important that there is a perfect flow of information. Financial flow means what? If raw material have reached, if the truck is ready with the raw material but they are not ready to pay, the truck will not give us that raw material. Okay, वो unload ही नहीं करेगा material को. So the finance is the lifeblood of the business and therefore smooth finance flow is very important aspect of the supply chain. And then comes is the commercial flow. Most supply chains represent a transactional commercial flow. This means that the business flow that runs throughout the supply chain is its ownership. Ownership, commercial मतलब क्या होता है? तो commercial मतलब you're doing it for the purpose of earning profit. Raw material person will give you the ownership of the raw material, take the money for that. Manufacturing person will take the ownership of raw material, but will tell the employees to work and will give them the salary. So commercial means what? Everyone working here is working for a commercial purpose. Like the salaried person will be earning the salary, the raw material person will be earning the cost for which he has made the raw material. So what is important word here, that in supply chain there will be always a change in the ownership. This transactional commercial flow will only take place in the supply. So whenever there is a question, what are the kinds of the flow in the supply chain management? Your answer should be, in supply chain management, there are four kinds of flow. First is the material flow. Okay. Here the material will be taken from the supplier, and this is the start of the supply chain, very important for the manufacturing. Second, there will be information flow. Always it can be downstream or it can be upstream. The information might flow from the raw material manufacturer to distributor, or from distributor manufacturer to raw. Finance is one of the blood of the businesses. We need to make payment for the purpose of getting the raw material. We need to make payment to the salary person for the purpose of this. And the last is the commercial flow. People forget this point. Students generally forget what to write in commercial flow. Okay. In commercial flow, what point is important? Commercial flow means there is a commercial transaction. That is, there is always a change in the owner. Okay. We'll stop for today. Supply chain management, little bit concept is left. We will continue it tomorrow. Okay? Thank you so much.